So we're on the last third of the roof, and this was the part that initially I knew I was gonna have to change a beam because there was this water leakage on the next to the chimney, and essentially it has been complete. I mean, it was visible that it's been rotten. However, from beneath, these beams actually looked alright. But in terms of the woodworms have done good work of it, and yeah, I don't have enough wood. I'm gonna go and see if I get some stuff from the neighbors. No, I'm gonna try to find some other beams, and I'm kind of tempted in this case because if I change the middle one, I have to take the whole roof down at once, which is a bit of a risk in terms of rain, because we had very unpredictable weather these last well, the last month, as a matter of fact. We are quite close to the Pyrenees here, so I guess this plays a role, but essentially the summer is a bit odd anyways. So I'm a little worried, and I want to prepare as much as I can before I do that, because it has to go fast. We kind of have to try to do it like in one day, take everything down, change the main beams, and put the vertical ones back on, because otherwise, I mean, like this, we cannot cover it. The water will just be trapped and will not go off the roof, basically. So yeah, this is a bit of a shock, but I've had a few of those, so I'm starting to get used to it. Always expect the worst and hope for the best. That really applies to this roof. So yeah, but as you can see, I mean there's a rule of thumb. I usually, one could say, if like there's a 3/4 of the beam is still intact and the rest is eaten, it's not all that bad. Well, it's bad, but essentially if then you manage to control it, it's fine. But I think here there's less than a third left, and so I think this one definitely has to be changed, because yeah, I don't think it makes sense to keep it, in particular since it's the middle one and it does carry weight from both sides of the roof. So not happy, but needs to be done. All right, so basically the top one is actually the actual size that the current beams are in the roof, which is 14.5 times 22. This is a little big. I think it's massive, and essentially two beams that I was able to obtain from my dad are basically a little smaller, and these are 12 times 19. I will use them on the two sides, and I'm going to put the one that I actually cut in the forest to the right side, so the biggest one on the top. Obviously I will have to elevate a little bit the two smaller ones because it all has to be on one level. That speaks for itself. The one that I bought from the guys who sold it secondhand, this is the beam that you see behind me on the sawmill. It's really big, and I was kind of saving it to see if I would need it, but since now I have all the big beams that I require for at least the roof part, I decided, since I am still missing a lot of the smaller ones, I will cut it into 6 the smaller ones that I'm gonna basically like distribute vertically on them on the big beams. But because I took all the really good ones that I had for the south side, being aware that there will be more weight on the south side, because there's obviously a solar system on top as well. And my idea was to kind of try to salvage some of the existing ones, burn them, put some boric acid on them. But I must say, the ones that I've been taking out, at least this side so far, none of them can really be used entirely. So maybe we could you know, salvage half of them and then try to work with that. But it's obviously far from ideal. So at least every second one, you want to have a really solid one, right? So I know this is not perfect, and I would definitely not recommend doing it like this. So once you plan your roof, do your homework, I don't know, go hit your beams with with a hammer, with anything pointy, and really see if it gives in at any place, you know, on the top, on the side, because a lot of the woodworms are actually beneath the surface, so they looked intact from outside. And when you actually start hitting them, you realize that underneath the top surface, the top layer, is actually nothing but sawdust. So this morning, you know, when I was hitting this last beam and from outside it looked good, I really anticipated that I only had one beam to change in the last third of the roof. Yeah, I was a bit shocked when I really saw, you know, I maybe have half of the beam left once I really went all around it, chipping off everything that was eaten away. So yeah, but this is just how it is. If life gives you lemons, make lemonade, and this is what I'm trying to do with this beam back there. So let's cut it. So this one is actually a 28 times 15. So this is massive. I mean, I don't know. The guys I got it from, they had it literally above their terrace. No idea what they anticipated their roof would look like, but it was definitely too heavy. That being said, they had to exchange it because it had taken water a bit at the one end, which didn't matter to me because it was a 6-meter beam. So I took my chainsaw with me, I cut this piece off and basically salvaged the 5 meters that I require. I could have used it as a main beam in the roof, you know, just put it on the sawmill, take the excess 6 centimeters off and stick it right in there. It would be ideal. But I think I prefer to use it differently, because here, I mean, if I use it and I take 6 centimeters out of here, I can do a maximum of 1 additional small one here plus the big one. And then if I would use one of the smaller ones and repurpose it, I could maybe do 4 maximum. So yeah, long story short, this is better. However, they will be a little bit smaller than these. No, a bit over 9. Sure. They will be. So these beams will be 7 by 9 something. So not that bad. I think for the north side they will be more than sufficient and definitely more stable than reusing the old ones. So pretty nice. One thing I failed to mention, one thing you really want to be doing before sawmilling kind of salvaged wood is do a very thorough check for nail screws or anything in there, because I've done that thankfully, but so now I haven't found any that I missed so far. But this is something you really do want to be doing, because I mean, even if you have a beam from the forest, there might be some barbed wire or whatever in there, so this needs to be checked as well. Generally speaking, always nice cleaning it. You don't want any earth, you don't want any stones in there. But obviously something that's been already in construction somehow, it tends to have things in there that you might not see at first sight, so do check that. All right, I'm really pleased. They're actually in an absolute perfect condition, so I'll give them a little bit of flaming and then they're good to go. Burning wood is actually a really old method of preserving and protecting wood against anything such as humidity and any kind of insects that might attack it. The problem is, I mean, essentially you could make a fire and try to turn them in, and this is a bit how it used to be done. I mean, even for instance in Japan, a lot of the roofing is actually done with wood, and what they do, they burn it. And it can be a bit tedious to burn all of them, because you know, it spends a lot of time, a lot of energy to be flaming every piece of wood by itself. So stacking it up in this manner actually helps a lot, because when you go over it with the flame, and they are stacked in a way that there's about 2 to maybe 3 or 4 centimeters between each. So here there's, you know, pieces of wood that separates those 2 layers, and also here you leave a bit of air, and this enables the fire to really accelerate through the spaces, and so you only need to pass on each side once, and it will burn all of them at once. So this is a lot faster, in particular if you are then working, you know, with smaller pieces of wood. It will take ages if you don't do this, and you're actually wasting most of the energy because it goes somewhere else. And here you just go in the middle, and it spreads super well across the whole thing.